The regular meeting of the City of Pflugerville to order at 7 p.m. If you would join me in the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
You may be seated. We have a nice crowd this evening. We look forward to the discussion we're going to have this evening. One of our first items is public comment. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the City Council. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by the City Council. Each person providing public comment will have 3 minutes. I have one individual wishing to make public comment. Honey Goodenough, come forward to the podium.
Hi, well, someone's got to break the ice, don't they? Well, thank you. My name is Honey Goodenough. It's really my name.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. It's not great. It's not wonderful. Just good enough. I am, if you remember one thing about my 3 minutes, it's that the neighbors of Mountain Creek, a neighborhood living near the Mountain Creek Trail, would love to be considered to have an expansion of the Mountain Creek Playground. Oh, I see some nods. Someone got my letter. Thank you. And the reason for this is in this year alone, Basis Charter School has opened a brand new high school. So this year alone, they went from a population of 500 elementary to middle school children to the potential for 1,250 in that quadrant alone. And then add to that the preschool right across the street, which is Goddard Preschool, where my daughter went to school. And they have the potential of having 160 infants to toddlers to kindergarten in that quadrant alone. And that is near the intersection of Wells Branch Parkway and 10th Street. And right now we have a very modest playground. We love it, but it's really for ages 2 to 5. And there's a great area where it could be expanded for ages 5 to 12. And then it also continues where there is a lovely walking trail, which I personally would love to have considered for a dog park. And in addition to that, this area of the neighborhood happens to be roughly 20 years old. And so we are now seeing a resurgence of the neighborhood where people moved in with their own young families who have now grown up, now going to college, and people are downsizing. Just as my very own parents, Mr. and Miss Goodenough, they have allowed us to take over. I know, we're practically a reality show. We have now taken over their home and brought my young family to the neighborhood. And so I can, even though I'm one person standing here, I represent at least 35 children, mothers, and fathers that would love to have a splash pad, some swings, bigger climbing equipment, and hopefully if we start now, by the time my daughter turns 5, she will have a place to slide. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Please say hello to your dad.
Oh, I will.
Our next item is proclamation. So, the state of Texas historically leads the nation in the number of federally declared disasters. These events remind us that emergencies can strike at any time, and being prepared before disaster strikes can be a matter of life or death. National Preparedness Month is an opportunity to inform and educate residents, businesses and schools, and communities in the region to be prepared. The City of Pflugerville encourages all residents to participate in preparedness activities and asks that residents review preparedness information on ready.gov. Residents can also sign up for emergency alerts via warncentraltexas.org or become more knowledgeable and prepared. I proclaim September 2024 as Preparedness Month in the City of Pflugerville, and this evening our Director of Emergency Services, Joseph Chacon, is here to accept the proclamation. Joseph.
Didn't someone tell me he had to shave before he took that picture? All right.
I'm so much more relaxed.
Yeah, oh gosh. You know he does.
I was prepared for all the rain this week, so I hope it keeps coming. Our next item is conduct a presentation on the public comment period to amend the Community Development Block Grant Action Plans for Program Years 2022 and 2023. Jeremy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is an opportunity to open for public comment. So it's just to make an announcement that we are looking to make the amendments to our action plans for program years 22 and 2023. We've discussed in the past that our annual action plans are things that we put together. We establish a budget and we move forward the best that we can. There are certain circumstances where some funding doesn't fully get utilized, and so this is an opportunity to be able to readjust and make some adjustments on that and look towards our projects. So this is an invitation for everybody to come out and take a look at the plan. The amended action plans are listed on our website. It's pflugervilletx.gov/CDBG. It's also available at the library and also at the Travis County Health and Human Services facility. In the future, we will be doing a public hearing. That'll be at our next meeting on the 10th. And then later action will be in October. So it's just a quick announcement about that. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our next item is reading of the consent agenda. Council wishing to pull any items?
5E. That's it.
Sorry, what?
5E.
5E.
I think we're good.
Okay. Trista.
All right, item 5E has been pulled from the consent agenda. 5A is approving an ordinance on first reading with the caption reading an ordinance of the City of Pflugerville approving the 2024 Annual Service and Assessment Plan Update and 2024 Assessment Roll for the Martin Tract Public Improvement District in accordance with Chapter 372, Texas Local Government Code as amended, marking various findings and provisions related to the subject and providing for an effective date. And again, item 5E has been removed from the consent agenda. All items remaining may be acted upon in a single motion.
So move to approve.
Motion and second to approve.
I did get two motions.
Second.
Thank you.
I thought we had. Okay.
No. I would just adopt whoever you heard second as the
Second. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Our next item are public hearing and ordinances. Item 6A, conduct a public hearing on the FY25 proposed budget. Tracy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This public hearing is a review of the major funds for the fiscal year 25 proposed budget. Going over some of the key budget assumptions. The fund balance target is 35%. This budget was built based on the voter approval tax rate. The sales tax was a conservative projection of 5% based on current trends that we're seeing. And the cost allocation from the utility fund was a change in accounting for that, and we'll go over that a little bit further. On the expenditures, no new personnel were added. There's an annual 3% increase on base salaries. Health insurance cost is built in. It was built in at 15%. We're looking more at about a 5%, so that'll be adjusted for the final budget. Emergency medical services of $1.3 million have been added into this budget. We've increased our vehicle leases. That program will continue to grow year over year until we have all of our fleet in the lease program. We have 24 added fleet vehicles in the fiscal 25 budget. And there was a reclass of police equipment agreements moved from the capital improvement fund over to the operating in this budget. Our debt service is, the existing debt is $36 million. We have included an $83 million issuance to include several of those projects listed here. This is just a very high-level summary of all of our major funds. This budget is totaling $857 million. Honing in on the general fund, the revenue over year has gone down by a little bit. There were some one-time revenue sources that we received in fiscal 24 that are not repeating in 25. The operating expenditures are looking at about a $5 million increase from projected. The capital outlay year over year, it has gone down. Doesn't mean we're doing less projects. It just means we're funding less of them through general fund balance.
Because we found other alternative ways and intuitive ways to
Other
save
funding.
people money.
And so the fund balance percentage in the fiscal 25 and the proposed budget is 36. We're planning to bring you a final budget that will be closer to the 35% target that we're looking for. So on the revenue, on the general fund, property tax, net taxable values increased by $693 million. New property value was $454 million of that, which is about 66% of that increase. Spoke about the 5% sales tax and other revenue repeated before. It's going down a little bit for fiscal 25, but it has to do with those one-time revenues that we received. So on the general fund expenditures, personnel, the market study adjustments that we implemented in fiscal 24 are included in the fiscal 25 budget. Health insurance costs, the annual 3% cost of living adjustment. On the operating, we do have a change in accounting for the cost allocation from the enterprise fund, the emergency medical services lease, and then the capital outlay. This is just a chart on the sales tax revenue, and just as you can see, it's continuing to trend up, though it is a little bit flatter in the last several fiscal years. Hotel occupancy tax. So on this fund, I just want to point out, we are trying to increase the operating expenditures in this fund. It is ending with a fund balance of 1.6. But some of the things that we're working into this fund as we continue to promote Explore Pflugerville, public arts, economic incentives are built in, promotion and marketing, tourism, training, and membership, and we're also kicking off a short-term rental program. I don't want to just keep clicking. So our water and wastewater fund summary, really the biggest change in this fund is you'll see on the revenue, this revenue projection is based on the rate model that we're using. So we'll continue to monitor how that rate model is converting to actuals. And the debt service is going from 22 million to 29 million. So that's really the most significant. Their fund balance is ending higher in fiscal 25. But we're going to need to look at what capital improvement projects that fund balance can fund, but also what we're going to need to serve our debt service in the coming years as well. Just a review of the proposed rate adjustment on the monthly increase based on our average of 8,000 gallons water, 5,000 gallon wastewater. It's $18.65 a month. Those will go into effect October 1st. Thank you. On the expenditures, the personnel are the same as what we covered in the general fund. And the operating, the main increase would be your debt service. Their capital outlay is also decreasing for fiscal 25, but that just means they have a lot of their projects being funded by other sources, not fund balance.
Can you go back 2 slides?
I can try.
And then go back 1 more. So if we're looking at an increase in the fund balance, then go forward 1 more. Is there a possibility that we can defer that monthly increase and delay implementing that and use some of that fund balance to cover that?
No, because there are several of our bond covenants that require that we actually, our revenue has to cover a certain percentage of our expenditures. We have a ratio there that we have to cover. Mm-hmm. So we will have to bring in enough revenue to continue to make sure we meet that covenant. What it might mean is that we might be able to restrict some of our fund balance in the near future to make sure that we can apply that to debt service.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things I need to look at over the next several years is how much of that fund balance should we be restricting and socking away for debt service, and how much we would be able to apply to a capital improvement project. So that's the tricky part about that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's a really important point to bring up to people, because there might have folks, Councilman McDonald asked that question many people ask, like, hey, wait a minute, you got this great fund balance. And you're like, yeah, but actually what we have regarding our bond covenants is that we have to kick in this specific revenue. And if not, we're in violation. You say covenants, contract.
Yeah.
You know, and if we did that, we were breaking our contract, and consequently we'll get penalized and we'll be out of sorts with doing that. So that's a great point to bring up, because I'm sure other people may make the same point.
Yeah. So in the solid waste fund, not a lot of changes to this fund, and we did want to point out that there's no rate changes as well with our solid waste services.
But they came in asking us for a pay raise.
There's a I think it's right about 3% of their service increase, but we're not passing that on at this point. This fund has
Let's just make sure we have less of those what do they call it? Rear service? What did he call those? rear service trucks?
Oh, yeah.
Back.
Yeah.
So some of the changes that you'll see in the final budget, and we just wanted to go ahead and point these out. The medical premium, we originally built in 15% because that is what we were being told by our benefit consultant, but we have heard back from our provider and we're looking at a 5%. So there were some expenditures for park field maintenance that we'll be putting back in the budget. We have built in $1.3 million from the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. So I went ahead and put that transfer in the budget. We'll be looking at transferring out $1 million to lower that ending fund balance to 35%. That'll give us more money in our capital improvement fund in order to be able to fund. We have lots of projects and future debt we know we're going to need. So, and on the water and wastewater, we've added an additional $275,000 for sludge disposal increase. Other than that, our next actions in September, on the 24th, we'll be bringing back a public hearing for the tax rate and the action on the budget and the tax rate. That is my presentation.
Any questions, council?
I have a long list of questions. First of all, thank you. This is a very good budget. Lots of detail, well presented, and I think that, this is something that somebody who's not good at math, like a lawyer, can read through this and understand. I really appreciate that. The tax increase this year is it's not negligible, but it's certainly not out of line with a lot of other things that I've seen. Most of these questions are going to be fairly high level, but I will get into the weeds on occasion. The first one, I notice our overall fund balance is set at 35%. I was mildly surprised to find out this morning that the city of Austin is operating between a 15 and a 17% fund balance. Can you explain to us why our fund balance is so much larger as a percentage than our largest suburb to the south?
So our policy is 25%. So by policy, we would be operating at 25%. My understanding is that we are targeting 35%. And I have talked to the financial advisor about this as far as our ratings. And they do like to see a little bit higher of a protection. That fund balance, that's what that is. And so that's why the target's set at 35%.
So 35% is about protecting our bond rating and making sure that we pay the lowest possible interest rate on the money that we borrowed in order to fund our infrastructure building projects. Is that
That's
correct?
fine, yes.
Okay.
I would think part of it too is that 35% reserve funds for us is probably significantly less than a 17% reserve fund for Austin.
Yeah.
And so we may see a higher percentage just to be
yeah.
fiscally prepared for that next snowpocalypse or whatever it is that comes down to, hopefully not, the next thing.
Austin has 10 times as many people as we do.
Yes, sir.
And more than 10 times as much money. Now, you mentioned that the sales tax projections are conservative, but they are projecting 5% next year, and it was 3% this year. And
was
our
4%.
government body across the street is actually projecting if I understand it correctly, a 2% decrease in sales tax next year. Can you explain to me why we've got that variance? What's going on there? Are they just flat wrong? Is there something we're missing?
I think jurisdictions are different. We did a 4% for 24. We preliminarily stepped out with a 3% when we initially talked in July. But the sales tax is trending to justify a 5%. And so that's why we went ahead and allowed a 5%. I mean, obviously we'll monitor it, but it is trending and consistently meeting that 5%. Year over year for the last several months, we've been comfortable.
Can you tell us where we've been the last 3 months?
We've been averaging for the fiscal year around 5%.
Okay. One of the I thought particularly useful and interesting bits of information in the budget was that the total taxable value of property in the city is $11.9 billion, an increase of $759 million over the prior year. Can you give us a historical perspective? Where were we 5 years ago? Where were we 10 years ago?
Trista, we have slides in here just in case we needed them. Let me see if I can. There should be some. Do that appraisal taxable value with the commercial and residential. So this is the last
That's what I'm looking
6
for.
years of kind of the growth that we've seen.
So if I read that slide right, appraised taxable value in Pflugerville has about doubled over the last 5 years.
6, yeah.
That's, do you have any sense of how that compares to other Austin suburbs or to Austin itself?
I do
Are we
not-
ahead of the curve or are we behind the curve?
I can look at that. I don't have that
Okay,
with me.
all right. And did I read it right that we have we have about a 5% total increase in the budget year over year?
It might average that. I think some years have been a little bit bigger, but might average that.
I'm last year to this year.
Oh, a 5%. I don't have that information on top. It should be enough.
General fund budgeted expenditures of 68.2 million represents an increase of 3.5 million from FY24. So that's about 5%. Am I doing that math wrong?
Okay.
Is that right?
Plus or minus, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, the city has been criticized by some people for having a large facilities budget for next year. 92.6 million is what I read there on page 10 of the budget book that you gave us. But many of those are long planned projects like the recreation center and roads and water improvements. Of course, the water improvements are paid for separately out of the water and wastewater fund. And one of the largest projects that we're working on is a new facility for the public works personnel. Is that right? Am I remembering that properly?
Mhm.
That was. The Public Works Complex is $43 million.
Right.
And that is that already broken ground?
No.
You know,
I don't believe
not
so.
yet. Not yet. But that's a very big one. And then of course we have the new multi-generational recreation center project. That's just short of 50 million in this budget. And then we have our new city hall project,
Right.
which is also in that neighborhood. Many of these smaller projects are things that are mandated by other government agencies. For instance, our ADA plan, facility plan, is required by the federal government. Isn't that right?
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So when the feds say you have to spend the money, we don't have any choice, do we?
Right.
Okay. And now some of these things are things that benefit other government entities. I'm looking at the Caldwell Elementary at Upper Gilliland Creek Channel improvements. Now that got my attention because my kids all went to Caldwell. But we're spending $250,000 on that, and that really is primarily for the benefit of the ISD and for the kids over there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, I would defer to another department if there were specific questions, but yes, I'm sure.
But Evan, would you know the answer to that question?
Just say yes.
Yes.
Just say yes. Yes. Yes.
It does.
Your city manager.
It does
said
help.
yes.
The mayor saying the answer to that
No,
question
no,
is
no,
yes.
the city
Okay.
manager.
All right. I'm not going to belabor that point then. All right. Thank you very much for this budget and answering those high-level questions for me. This is a lot of money. We have to be careful how we spend it, but it looks to me like you guys have crossed the T's and dotted the I's. I'm impressed that we're going to be able to maintain level of service with no increase in personnel. And I really hope that your sales tax projection is correct. I know we have a history of being
Me too.
spot on with our sales tax projections, but I am a little worried when the guys across the street say have a 7% variance from us. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Council, do you have any other questions?
I think the excellent job, detail. We've been doing this for years now. You've learned to anticipate what we ask right there. I think Councilman Rogers, what he said as well, is that this is judicious, fiscally responsible, and it makes pragmatic sense. You know, my question every year always is, and you can send it at a later date, what did we leave out that we just couldn't, fiscally afford this time around on their wish list? But everything else, excellent job.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a citizen wishing to speak on this item, Melody Ryan.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Melody Ryan. I reviewed the proposed budget and have a few comments. I would like to recognize the efforts of the Finance Department, as I know creating a budget is both an art and a science. At the last council meeting, it was requested that other budget assumptions be shown with a lower tax rate so we could see what would need to be cut. I would recommend that instead the City Council start with a budget at the no new revenue rate, which already includes a $3 million revenue increase from new property, and then identify what you would need to add in order to increase the property tax rate. This approach requires everyone to more closely evaluate whether those items are necessary and imperative to be added at this time. When you increase the tax rate beyond the no new revenue rate, then you are asking the taxpayers to give you more, and I believe that there should be clear justification before taking that action. A number of my other questions were answered on the presentation about the utility fund, noting that the goal for the fund balance was 35%. In the budget, it said the proposed ending fund balance was 40%, although it's actually 46%. And I understand that there's going to be some mid-year projects that I guess are not in this budget right now. But and I appreciate the additional information about the loan covenant requirements, about why you can't use that net surplus from this year, where maybe you collected too much of a water rate increase, and you can't use it next year to maybe not ask for so much. I'd still like to dive into those details to understand why we can't do that. But it would be helpful for the budget to maybe explain that a little bit more about what those requirements are so people would know. And so those were my comments, and I have other ones that I'll just email directly to the city manager and finance director. But I do look forward to seeing how the budget can be refined by the next public hearing to account for some of the decreases in the health insurance costs. Maybe that could be considered to not increase property taxes so much rather than funding additional increased expenses. But thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there anybody else wishing to make public comment this evening? If you haven't signed up, you can come forward. Okay. Having no one else, we will move on.
Do we need to
I need
close
a
the public
motion,
hearing?
well, let's
I'll
see.
move we close the public hearing.
Yeah,
Second.
there we go.
Third,
A motion
fourth.
and second to close the public hearing.
Let's see if this works.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Our next item is 6B, to conduct a public hearing and consider approving the first reading of an ordinance with the caption reading an ordinance of the City of Pflugerville, Texas, amending ordinance number 1203-12-02-25 of the City of Pflugerville, Texas, as amended by changing the zoning designation of approximately 10.53 acres of unplatted land situated in the Jacob Kastner Survey, abstract number 2753 in Travis County, Texas, from Agricultural Development Reserve A to single-family residential, to be known as the 1917 and 1931 Row Loop rezoning, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Jeremy.
Mayor and council. So this particular item is for land that's generally in our northern portion of our city limits. This is the Row Loop area. So if you picture where Row Lane is, it's just east of FM 685, east of SH 130. This neighborhood is north then of Row Lane. These are two parcels. They're 5-acre tracts approximately at the northern end of that loop area, and they're proposed for rezoning tonight. On the screen here represents the zoning of that area today. So the green is the Agricultural Development Reserve. That's what this property is currently zoned. As you can see to the right is a SFR zoning district. That's a single family residential zoning district. That's what's proposed tonight for these particular tracts. Further to the south near Road Lane is the single family mixed use tracts. Those are parcels that are under construction today for paired townhomes. It's a condominium project. And then over on the left-hand side of the screen, the red is facing towards FM 685 and SH 130, and those are commercial zone properties. The R down at the south is a retail zoning district. That it was a zoning that happened last year, I believe.
I'm curious,
So-
how did you pick your color scheme?
That's some bright colors, man.
Nice and bright.
I could see it.
Yeah. So the two areas that are outlined in red are the parcels that are proposed for the rezoning tonight. Again, the land is approximately 10.5 acres. It's proposed to be rezoned to a single-family residential district. As you'll recall, that district is one of those that we utilize for master planning developments as well as using for infill development. This offers a requirement for minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet in area, but it does require that at least 10% of the lots be 9,000 square feet, so it gives you a range. When there's land less than 50 acres, it also requires that the lot widths be no less than 60 feet in width. So that gives you a little bit of a range in that subdivision and gives you a little bit of a variety. Single family is the proposed use, and that would be what would be permitted in that particular area. The Aspire plan on the screen represents what's called the Commons District that was included in the Aspire plan. The yellow represents the suburban residential, and as you can see, this area was inside of that. These particular tracts are right in the middle of that yellow spot. Along the left-hand side, along FM 685, again, is the mixed-use commercial. That's where we expect to see commercial developments. And then along Row Lane, we anticipate to see more higher intensity commercial and residential.
Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, those two parcels both have one house on them currently, is that correct?
Currently?
Go back another.
Go back.
There.
There's two houses. Yeah, one house on each lot.
One house on each of those. And those are all fairly large parcels, and each one of them has a single house on it, is that correct?
That's correct.
And those are all on septic out there, is that right?
No. They're transitioning over, actually. I believe some are on septic, and then we have wastewater lines that are in there that they can connect to, yes.
So are those two on the wastewater lines, or do you know?
I don't know 100%. My guess is that they're still on a septic system, but it would be required to be tied into a wastewater system. I can get a clarification on that.
Once they subdivide and they build more, they would have to be on the,
That's correct.
Are those adjacent parcels, I'd say adjacent across the street, that have already been rezoned to SFR? Are they currently under active development?
They have a preliminary plan that has been approved.
Okay, so they haven't pulled lines up to those parcels yet, or does the wastewater line
The
already?
wastewater line is in row loop,
It's already
Yes.
in the loop.
and
So
so
they just be
then
pulling from the right of way,
yes,
and we've got capacity there for additional development.
yes.
Yeah, I remember when we had that. How many years ago? The
It's
conversation about this.
been a while.
Yeah, maybe 3.
So again,
A water
the proposal is
service
to
conversation.
apply single-family zoning on this particular tract to allow for the development of those pieces. This did go through Planning and Zoning Commission. The recommendation there was approval with a vote of 4-2. There was one of the members identified some concern of the addition of units up there with the improvements of row loop not being maybe widened at this point. That is one of the projects that is in the CIP. It was part of, I believe it was the 2020 bond. It hasn't gone under construction yet, but it's in that stage, ready to go.
correct me if I'm wrong, row loop at that point is 2 lanes, but there's no shoulder.
That's correct. Yeah,
No
roadside ditches
shoulder,
on
no
either
curb.
side.
Okay.
So, not to pull a Doug, but you're right. It was in the 2020 bond. Where are we on that?
Yeah. So,
Good job.
so my understanding is from CIP is that we've gone through the process of a bid, and then looking at future bringing forward the consultant on that. So close.
Okay.
All right. So if we approve this tonight, are we going to have those roadway improvements done before these people are ready to add extra traffic to that roadway?
So the timing on how this development would come in, I don't have a solid yet on. Their first step in the process would be the zoning,
Bless you.
and then they'll go through the subdivision process.
You said one person's concern was the road. What was the other person's concern?
I don't know their other.
I'm sorry?
I do not know the other stated concern. There was a
From
vote.
planning and zoning.
Yes.
What did he say?
They didn't say it out
They
loud.
didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So staff did recommend approval. Commission did recommend approval. Ultimately, 4-2.
No, and that's all fair, and I do understand the concern because, again, when you start development and you don't have the bones in place regarding the infrastructure, that becomes a concern. Glad to hear about water. Just that road, you said you're going to be bringing something to us, hopefully no later than early 2025 on that bond, and seeing what we can get done.
Yeah, it was part of that street reconstruction package number 3.
No, I'm
Yeah,
it's just,
moving it.
yeah, exactly, because that'll be, someone could say it's been half a decade.
Yeah. Well, we can't allow the way things are now to get in the way of the way things will be in the future, and we know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest thing is that if we stopped every project because it wasn't quite ready yet, then we'd never get anything done.
Yeah, just like Encore and putting those
Exactly.
things down the 39 West Lane.
Then we'd end up with Kelly Land.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public wishing to make public comment?
There she is.
Hi, my name is Beverly Darslek. We live at 1948 Row Loop. We are just neighbors to these 2 properties that are wanting to be rezoned, and we are direct neighbors to the ones that have already been approved. I just want to say that I understand what is going on with but I don't like it. We've had that property since the 1980s. We've been living there since 1992. And we don't plan to go anywhere anytime soon. I know this property that's right across the street, it's the current, it's not a developer that is trying to get this rezoning. It's the current owners that are trying to get the rezoning to make it more appealing to developers to do that. And, you know, there again, I don't like it. But this is a very, in my opinion, historic area. It was very unique by having the 5-acre lots. That's why we bought there, that it was, you could have the space, but, you know, but not a small lot, and not 200 acres. But my husband and I do not plan to leave. We just put in all new Anderson windows. So we keep investing in that property. We've even remodeled our master bath to be ADA compliant. So I just needed to let you know that as a longtime resident of Pflugerville, my 50-year-old son started kindergarten in Pflugerville. And I owned property. I ran a business. I was chair of the chamber. So I love this, but I do not like to see what is happening here. I know you're asking about the road around Pflugerville, and one of the sections that they said was not going to be upgraded just collapsed about a month ago. The culvert collapsed and did a fine job of fixing it, but that's just a very small piece of the loop. So I heard people were asking questions about wastewater and so forth. If anyone knows, we are on wastewater. If you had a septic system, you can keep it, but you can't fix it or replace it. You have to go to wastewater. And that's my time.
No, you can go ahead.
Well, no, but I pretty well have said
Okay.
my piece. Any questions?
I do want to say that you've been here numerous times through the years, and it really has made a difference hearing from you. It really has, and I think you can appreciate. I mean, even some of the I mean, it's been years, having these conversations, and I think you can appreciate that. You saw some of our directions and actions or questions with staff, with developers, everybody else, based on what you brought up from there. Because I get it. Being here and seeing all the growth and development and things have changed over here with that. That is, it's big. And
it's big.
Yeah, and I completely get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So I know we do appreciate hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate everything that you guys do, because the questions that you were asking, wow, that's got to be the binders that you all have that are having to study what is being brought up tonight. The one thing is if we were to sell, where would we go to get what we have right there? And our neighbors to the west of us, they feel exactly the same way. Where would we go? We've got our 5 acres. We've got elbow room, so, and we mow it all so it looks like a golf course. So we love being there. We love being in Pflugerville. We love the location. And so do what you have to do, but so are we.
Thank you very much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Okay. All right. Could I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Mayor, real quick.
Oh, sorry.
May I ask Jeremy real quick? So there is not a development set up for this piece of property where they're just asking for a rezoning?
The owners requested the rezoning.
Okay, not a developer, huh?
To get it ready for sale.
Yeah, just want to confirm on that one.
But this
Okay.
owner owns both parcels,
Correct.
and has owned them for, I don't know, 3 years or so.
I don't know the answer on that, but
I can answer.
Is the applicant here? Are you the owner?
Yeah, I'm the owner.
Okay. We'd love to
Come on
hear
up.
from you.
Yeah, so we had a.
Come forward and get it.
If you want to talk, you get it.
So I'm the owner's son.
If you'll
He was able to come.
State your name, please. Your name, please?
My name is Adil Malik. I'm the owner's son. My dad couldn't come, so I'm here to speak on his behalf. But we had this property about 10 years, 10 to 12 years, and then we recently got the one across. So it's 1917 Road Loop and then 1931. And our plan is to definitely build. We're trying to get this rezoned so then we can start doing projects on our own. And then there's no septic tank. We've actually changed it a couple years ago, so it's a sewage line. So, and that's it.
Any questions?
What's its
comment?
Thank you, guys.
I'll
Thank you.
just state, I have a comment. I mean, thank you for doing this ahead of time, but my heartburn with this is approving something ahead of time before the developer has a plan just allows anybody to come in my opinion, to supersede coming back to us with a plan. Does that sound, am I saying it correctly? No, Jim? Yeah, okay, so sometimes when a land is already zoned, they don't have to come back to us and ask us and show us what they're gonna do. And so if we rezone this without a plan, that just allows any developer to come in there and do what they want as long as it fits into the residential.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
I mean, so
and,
that-
yes and no.
Well, but that is the entire purpose of zoning.
Yeah.
What you described is the entire purpose of zoning. It sounds like, and I know what some folks on this council have enjoyed in the past is a planned unit development where you can see the exact layout, but I'm a big fan of establishing zoning, which is kind of the basis of the word zoning, to determine what are the limits of what can happen on that property, and that's what we would be approving tonight is what are the limits on the property, what is allowed to go in there, what makes sense to go in there, and once we've said and we've looked in our Aspire 2040 plan, what makes sense in this area, and I think single-family residential is what makes sense. I don't need to see a plan to know that single-family residential makes sense, and I don't need someone to sell me on a specific concept because, frankly, that's when I get disappointed. Is when I see a specific concept and then that's not what ends up happening. I get a request to change it.
Yeah.
So I would very much rather set the boundaries and allow the individuals, the market, the people who are actually developing it come up with exactly what they want to see there, because I can tell them in general what I want to see. That's where I'm coming from.
So Jeremy, in this presentation, you made reference to minimum 60-foot lot.
yes.
If this is approved, is there ability for the property owner to come back and make the lot size smaller?
They would do a rezoning. And so if somebody wanted to do something smaller than
They'd
than
have
the
to come
stated,
back and
they would have to
rezone.
rezone the property, come back to you, go through that process. And we did have some of that
It's
conversation.
where we've seen the SFMU to the south
Correct.
part of this neighborhood, right?
That's what I was about to say. We've had, I appreciate what you're saying, Caesar. We have had long, and that's why I was telling her, I was like, I specifically remember this. I remember her, I remember the conversations, the concerns with that property, and I think we've done as a council and as a city a lot of different machinations, a lot of ways to go ahead and ameliorate, try to work and accommodate from those things with that. The part that I always talk about whenever we're talking about zoning is that reliability, right? Like, we put out the vision, we have the plan, we have the ideas. It's reliable for people who are cognizant of what they want to build and what the expectations they have from there. Here with single-family residents, it's not like we're putting commercial or something like that out there. It's different, from that, and it is tough for someone like me, like you grew up in the country. She called it elbow room. Yeah, that's what they call it. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And that's how it's built. But like, even when I went back home to my small North Texas town about a month ago or so, it's shocking all the developments happening. But that's what happens. And I always say that just because of the people that are moving here and the folks that are happening doesn't mean that our values have to change. Here in her house, you talked about the chamber and every other aspect and how this community means to her. That doesn't have to change, but part of that growth and part of the development, that's just the natural orientation of things.
I
right
know.
there. Now that road, that culvert, I'm a little concerned. I'm not going to lie to you about that.
The whole thing, I mean, it's getting piecemealed
That as well.
bit by bit and developed bit by bit before it's even developed properly, or the culvert and everything else.
So to your point, yes, changing the zoning does allow some things by right to go in there. But they still have to submit a plat, design, road cross sections if they're having additional houses in there, extensions of the utilities. All of that has to be submitted to staff for review and approval.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just like, oh, we've passed the zoning thing and willy-nilly they can build whatever they want there and there'll be a trailer park there. No, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's like Doug said, we're basically establishing a new set of guardrails. There's some other things now that are allowed by right. There's still some things they can petition for. If they want to change, then maybe they have to come back with a new zoning. But it's not like we're letting the cat out of the bag.
You're right, and it's not like it's commercial or some of these others where we've seen them where they've told us, hey, we're going to put this right here, and then they turn back and they put something completely different that fits within that category, and that drives us all nuts. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I mean, I would have loved to have seen this entire neighborhood come together and build one big plan, one big vision. But I also want to assure the people who live there now that no one's kicking you out, no one's making you leave. Now you can stay there as long as you want. You don't have to rezone your property. It's gonna that's something that you would have to come forward and do. It would be nice if someone would put together an overall plan for an eventual complete build out, some sort of master plan. So the piecemeal isn't great, but as long as it's sticking to vision, I think we're doing as best we can.
Because somebody to do that, to your point, they would.
That's going to make a lot of people very upset.
Yes, exactly.
Right? I draw lines on your property. You're going to be very mad at me.
Wait a minute.
So
I think it was said I might like sitting on my 5 acres with plenty of elbow room. And you do whatever you want over there and leave me alone.
Yeah, they're all 5 acres, correct?
Yeah,
roughly. And remember, and that's why.
Well, the ones at the front have been redeveloped.
We redeveloped the front side, which. Again, the conversation about
I think
the
there's
infrastructure.
7 or 8 in the back corner somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one we did.
There, I think a few folks have carved out 1 acre parcels for other people.
I know she would have to go back.
You'll have to come back up, yes, ma'am.
You brought up a very interesting point is if each of the 5 acre owners sell their property, and even with this one with the 10 acres, they may do something totally different than what the front is, the villas at Row. And then, some of them, it would be nice if we could get a plan for the entire loop, that this is what it's going to be.
We would love that.
Well,
unfortunately, that has to originate with the neighbor.
that can't come from us, though.
Yeah.
I know, but
yes.
By granting rezoning of, there's even 2 5 acre lots that have some rezoning that is recent, couple of years ago, that don't have don't look anything like anything that's there. And, and then how do you do the road? Maybe the roads don't work just by having a loop. If there were a comprehensive plan for the loop itself that said, this is the way we would want it. But it's not. There are 5 acre lots that are each owned, and we each can sell them individually to someone else that's going to redevelop it. And that's a shame. All right.
Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you wanted to get a 5 acre lot like that somewhere around here, you'd have to go all the way up to Thrall, wouldn't you?
That's my point. Is to get what we have right where we are, I don't know where we would go. That we would go and have what we have. Heck, my family owns 201 acres in Shiner, Texas. You know, I could go there, but I don't want to.
That's a long way from Pflugerville. It's a heck of a.
What?
That's a long way. That's a heck of a
Well,
commute.
but my family is there, so you know that's, and then you know it's Shiner.
Where the beer is good.
Beer's good.
Beautiful.
It's we like where we are. We know all of the people here. We've got deep roots here in Pflugerville as I do in Shiner. Of course, I have my two sisters and brother that still live there. But the convenience for us, you know, thank you for building the freeway and thank you for building Stone Hill and thank you for building all of the schools and so forth and improving our roads so that we feel more comfortable here. But, you know, it gets, you know, because the first development we had was we have 11 houses on our north property line through Steed's Crossing. So that was our first development. And we did okay with that. As we have 5 acres. But anyway, that was the point that I was trying to make. Thank you for allowing me to speak again.
Council, could I get a motion?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion and second to close the public
I
hearing.
think Trista was trying to turn off the TV on us.
Hint.
I know. She's like, I know.
Do we want to have the applicant come back up and speak again?
I don't think so.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say, sir?
We're in the middle of a vote.
Well,
Unusual.
before we close it,
Yeah,
give him a chance to close his argument.
Yeah, so we've been, thinking about, rezoning for a while. It's been a few months, so we went through the process, me and my family. So we do have a builder with us that we're in contact with, and he's given us a proposed plan of how he wants to do things. So we're just needing this rezoning to get done so we can, start the next step. But if you guys, need us to like bring a proposed plan, we could do that too in the future. So that's all I wanted to say.
So you're planning to do this, you and your dad, your family,
And then there's
in
the people-
conjunction with a professional builder that you've
Yes, sir.
engaged?
There's the people in front of us, like across from us, that have already did SFR. We've been in contact with them, so they kind of wanted to work together and figure something out. So they're the ones who gave us the idea to you should change your property to SFR. So from that we decided let's go ahead and do that and see what we can do.
And then you said that's the same builder who's working on those?
No. So we had a different builder that we're speaking with. He's been doing something on this part, but we've spoke together and kind of decided that we should, once we get our rezoning approved, if we do, to get that started, so as soon as possible. So.
And is the idea to maintain harmony, kind of the same look and feel, the same design
Complement
as the other areas?
designs. So I haven't really looked into it yet. It's more, just we're in the, we're just
Just getting started.
blueprinting, kind of this thought process right now, but we're getting close. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very
Was
much.
there anybody
Thank you,
else? Okay. All right, looks, motion carried. Thank you.
Well, that was the closed public hearing, correct?
That was closed public hearing, I'm sorry, and approved. Motion to approve.
Move approval of the rezoning?
Second.
Motion and a second.
If we can take that vote one more time, Councilmember Mateer is not.
I literally went for it.
Okay, hold on.
We closed it before reading.
Rudy crashed the system.
Okay, we're
Rudy crashed the system.
now can I? Okay.
Failed.
Okay. Like motion was not approved. Okay.
What are the next steps on that then?
It's done.
Just goes away?
That's
Done.
it.
Okay.
Okay. Would you get with the property
Yep.
owner on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to regular agenda, item 7A.
You only have three. Oh,
Conduct introductions and take action to make appointments to the Deutschenfest Committee. We have applicant Tara Cohen. Is Tara here? Yes, Ms. Cohen, if you'll come forward.
Guten Abend, wie geht's?
Yeah. Well, no.
All right.
That issue.
And Ms. Cohen,
It's been very hard to hear all of you, so thank you.
I can appreciate that. We appreciate you making an application to the Deutschenfest Committee. And have you served on any other committees in the city of Pflugerville?
I just volunteer
Volunteer?
with the Pride.
Okay. Cool.
We have only been here 4 years, so.
Okay, great.
But that's where we got involved first.
Right.
I did notice that in your application. So you've been here for 4 years,
Yeah.
and why this committee?
Well, Jim asked. We've done in the past.
Totally legit.
My husband and I
It's
have done.
often my fault. I've never.
Either way.
All right,
Now you know what it's like.
voluntold.
Anyway.
Okay, we're good. That makes sense.
I had not thought of it because, as I said in my application, honestly, I have not been to the fest yet because we are usually out of town. But that could be made to be in town and go out another weekend. It doesn't,
As I seem to recall, you have experience with some festivals, perhaps?
just a few.
Maybe you could elaborate on that?
We are also involved with Sherwood Forest Fair in McDade. Everything I do is volunteer. There's nothing official. You can ask the owners. Yeah, they know us. The owners know everybody. It's the people that work there know us. We've done all kinds of backdoor stuff, little stuff because Sherwood has been trying to grow. So
Wait, don't be dismissive of what you're. I mean, we know all too well about the people who really get things done, are the people who work behind the scenes and get organized. So,
and we're not
Yes,
good
what?
at taking credit for that. We're just like, I like staying behind the curtain.
God bless you.
Bless you.
But pardon me.
Oh, no.
But and in the past I've worked with other things we've lived in Illinois and New York, and I've lived in Wisconsin, and I've done things throughout my whole life backstage. But if you ask me to prove everything, no. But the thing that we do most now is with Sherwood, and also with a little bit involvement with Pride. We've gotten to know other private owners besides Jim.
So it sounds like to me your interest is that
Calling you out, man.
you have a long history in being involved in different festivals and working these organizations. You enjoy it. You're in this town now. You love this community, and it's an opportunity for you to get to know and be a bigger part of the community. And that's just what you look at as an extension.
Thank you for saying what
Okay.
I obviously don't know how to say.
You should have waited. He would have gone on.
I sit between two attorneys, so.
You said you've been in
And you
Pflugerville
talk
for
more
4
than
years?
either of them.
4 years.
Four
yeah.
Before that, where?
Austin.
Did you
Circle
used to
C?
substitute?
No.
No.
I used
you
to be in
look
special
very
ed
familiar
in
then.
3 other states, but not this
Not
one.
here. It's very familiar.
Yeah, so special education is also a thing that I advocate for, but
It's great.
sometimes it's,
Okay.
So I honestly didn't know I was going to be talking. So you kind of get what
Jim
you get
didn't
at
warn
this point.
You're so welcome.
Well, we saw you in writing.
Mayor, will you entertain a motion?
Absolutely.
Move to accept Tara
Second.
Cohen to the.
Second.
Can I sit
Have a
down?
motion and a second to
Thank you.
approve Ms. Cohen. And motion carried. Welcome to the Deutschenfest Committee.
Thank you. I hope.
The next,
I hope we can help. I mean, that's,
You will. You will.
and if we can't, then I'll let somebody else.
let's skip to 7C. Council discuss and consider action regarding the police services for the 2024 Para-Endurance Multi-Sport Camp and Adaptive Triathlon and authorize the city manager to execute the same.
This request by David Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, I believe you asked this to be put on the agenda.
Yeah, so I'm asking that the city make a donation to the Para-Endurance Multi-Sport Camp and Adaptive Triathlon to the extent of covering the cost of the police service associated with that, which I believe is estimated to be approximately $6,000.
So in kind.
It's an in-kind donation
Well,
No.
not really.
Kind of. But go ahead. That is what we would charge.
Yeah.
So when we use the word in kind, we would just, I believe, let me get this straight. We would just forego charging them.
Right.
There is still a cost to the city to perform that service, but we would not be, quote, cutting a check.
So if it was truly in kind, just like you said, there would not be an applicable cost. But this, we would still be paying for the services being rendered.
Sure.
Which happen to
Overtime.
also be our officers, which would be the overtime for them.
And where does that come from out of the budget?
We didn't budget for this. So it's a request to fund it. If y'all were
Yeah.
to pass it, I could look at hotel funds.
Doesn't say hot tax.
Yeah, I would request that would come from the hot tax fund.
Is there someone here to talk about it?
No, there's not a individual from the group.
Nobody from the triathlon. Okay.
Yeah, I think my question is, I'm going to start with the one-word question, why, and follow with, I know we have other events very similar to this that don't request any subsidies. Is this something where you're asking us to do it for 1 year and they'll have a plan to do this in the future, or is this going to be a recurring request?
It's only been brought to my attention for this 1 year, and I don't. My sense is that they're getting off the ground, and I think that this is also, these are people who face challenges that our regular triathletes don't face, and these are folks who are missing limbs, people with traumatic brain injuries. Those kinds of athletes are the ones that are participating in this, and my sense is that sponsoring this kind of thing is kind of a hand up, and it's a unique situation. I don't think that we would treat all other races or triathlons like this, but because this is a special category of athlete, I feel comfortable asking the city to do a little extra.
So, David, did they have a event last year?
No, this is the first year.
First year.
So this is the first of its kind.
Yes.
It's not the first of its kind event. It's a first of its kind event in Central Texas. I believe.
Okay, but that's
We do,
Yeah.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the individual that's not here this evening, but it's the first for him to put on.
that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
David.
And the total amount is $4,080.
Okay, so it's less than I thought it was. The president of the chamber has some more details about this. Can she come up to the podium
Sure.
and speak about it?
Hi.
Aye.
I am working with Scott Benefield, who is the founder of the Para Endurance Foundation, who is putting this on. This is not his first time to put this on. He's been doing camps, what they consider, let me back up. This event will be 4 days, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the triathlon is on Sunday. He has been putting on these camps for these athletes for over 10 years. He has been doing triathlons himself for 30 years. So he is not new to this world. This is the first triathlon of adaptive participants he has put on that is sanctioned by USAT, which is United States Triathlon Association. So this is the first sanctioned event that's been put on in the United States. This is not a joke. This is not anything that he has been just thought of yesterday and decided to put it together. We've been working on this for a year, he and I. He came and walked into my office. I am not doing anything on the chamber's not sponsoring, putting up $1. This is me personally doing this with him because I'm a contact here locally. That is all that the chamber has nothing to do with it. It's just me. Okay. He was in town 2 weeks ago, thinking this was going to be on the agenda 2 weeks ago. He was in town to make his presentation. Since it was not, he could not make it back this time because he is working on putting this event together. So he was not able to make it back again.
I'm so sorry. When does the event take place?
It is September the 19th, 20th, and 21st, and 22nd. The triathlon is on the 22nd.
When does the decision have to be made on this?
Right away. That's
right away.
Yeah.
So, where is he based out of?
He is in New Mexico. But as we were talking when we were putting this together, and we were talking with Shane, he even said very few of the events, the triathlons that are put on here, are by somebody local, even within the state.
So why did he pick Pflugerville?
Yeah. He was born and raised in Dallas, and he has been working on it. He actually was going to do this.
Pflugerville.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No.
He actually was going to be putting this on in Bernie. He checked Bernie. He checked Burnett. He also checked Kerrville, and he had checked Pflugerville, and he landed on us.
What?
That the facilities were there that he needed, and the others were not willing to work with him on that.
Okay, so I just want to kind of hear, and let's be clear. I don't think any of us took this as a joke. Definitely, what you're participating and working for are differently abled folks and making demonstrable difference in the community. That's huge. I think the question was just opposing it to other events that are put on here. Mm-hmm. Is this something that we're doing? Because he said this is a hand up, right? Is this a one-time request because this event is coming up the ground from here, or is this something, to what Doug was saying, is this something that we're going to keep having a conversation about?
At this point, it's a one-time request.
So,
I don't know. I know that we're going to have a 4-day impact. We've already had, he has 20 people for the camps, and he has 30 people for the triathlon. Some are just coming for the triathlon.
What I hear with a 4-day event is people booking hotel rooms.
Yeah, and what I hear is this thing is happening in 3 weeks. So whether this happens tonight or not, the event's still happening.
That's right. That's what I'm hearing.
There's 21 people signed up.
Yes, I was just about to ask, since, it has kind of this Explore Pflugerville feel to it, how many people are actually anticipating coming to this event, this 4-day event?
Well, the first 3 days, it will be just the participants and their trainers that will be with them. But we look at the
how many on average? How many trainers come with them?
One. Okay. And then most of them have someone with them. So you've got people that are blind. You've got people that are that are wheelchair bound that need assistance.
And I just want to be clear. So we're trying to. I think Councilmember Hawley asked a really good question about this. Okay, so a trainer, 20 people signed up, or you said 21, Serena? 21 people signed up right now. Plus, everyone has a trainer, so that's 42. And then you said that somebody else is there to help assist over there as well.
And plus, he's bringing in coaches that are staying here for 2 or 3 nights. We have worked on the rooming list yesterday and today, and we have already booked and have reserved 100 rooms
And the reason why I asked that because
for 4 nights.
I used to.
No, I take that back. It's 100 nights total so far.
100 room nights?
100 room nights so far.
So one option that you could do is that we had offered was rebate the sales tax for the hotel tax for every room.
Which would be about $400.
We don't, whatever that number is. Because it's a new event, we don't know.
So here's my conundrum. How many dollars did we approve for the Rotary Club's event?
15,000.
15,000.
15,000.
The
How
offset
how many room nights did they have?
I think that was calculated based on the Austin Public Health fees.
Yeah.
Well, I know what it was based on, but now we're trying. What I hear is we're making a comparison of attendees and doing a per capita expense on that.
What expense are we causing this organization to incur? That's the police fees.
What I'm hearing presented is an opportunity for Pflugerville again to demonstrate itself as an innovative, vibrant city, and set a landscape for a nationally sanctioned, perhaps unique event that I'm sure there'll be a lot of positive publicity about, and having our city engaged and supportive of that event, I think is exactly why we're here on this dais.
Amen.
The only thing that I would add to this is that the reason why I was thinking about hotels, I was thinking about this weekend. Yeah, Labor Day weekend. It's already here. You are going to have a plethora of hotel rooms completely packed because we're having the annual Austin or Lone Star Texans soccer tournament. And we're going to have everyone staying at NEP, which
And
we use
UT game.
1849. Yeah, everything else. So we know we know the impact and how those things go from there. That's the reason why I was asking for motel. And the families who get 11 kids and you know all that stuff goes from there. I think that it's not I get where you're coming from. It's not an apples and oranges comparison. But I do think that it is an opportunity to go ahead and do something here unique. I'm not going to lie. I am a little disconcerted that we don't have the person here. I get it, but this is the way cities operate. If we're having this in the dice, I'd like to have the person here to have that conversation with them. I'm willing to look at this from 1 year. I kind of didn't like your answer when you said right now we're asking for 1 year. Because that means,
Sorry, I just don't know.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying, but it's a hand up, trying to get something off the ground, see what happens. I get where you're coming from on here. I guess my another concern would be that if you're working it for a year, why all of a sudden is the police being asked right now as opposed to 6 months ago?
Well, but he was, as she said,
Discussions have been ongoing for a while.
they were reaching out to different cities over the years.
When did you make the decision about Pflugerville?
About a year ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, but you don't.
We didn't ask for this. We met with David and he brought that idea
He
to
offered
us.
it.
I'm like, what can we do to help?
Okay.
We went down a list of things we could do to help
Okay, that makes more sense.
that don't involve writing a check.
gotcha.
Ish.
Even though we are, I know. Did you see her fix her glasses when he said that?
I can't, if it makes any
I'm still trying to wrap
difference,
around that you said soccer brings in money. I just don't get that.
Yeah.
That's the World Cup.
I mean,
call the question.
I don't really know if it makes a difference. There is a gentleman named Kyle Kuhn who is a Paralympic. He is right now in Paris and performing, and he runs. He's totally blind. He will be here at this event. He's already given us his go-ahead, and then he will be here.
Okay. Very cool.
That's great.
Like you said, an international event, and we are doing that. We are bringing people here that have had major
And
success.
you know what people find if they're in a European country somewhere and they Google Pflugerville, you know what they find?
Yeah.
They find us.
We're the only.
We are the only.
The only Pflugerville.
Are you sure there's not another Pflugerville?
That's absolutely, we are completely worldwide.
Pflugerville, Illinois.
No,
I doubt it.
Not like Paris.
All right.
All right, council.
Entertain a motion.
Make your motion.
So, a move to approve the provision of police services without charge to the 2024 Paralympic, Para-Endurance, Multisport Camp and Adaptive Triathlon.
Second.
Before anyone says second,
Whoops.
you said without charge, but there's going to be a charge. So Serena, how do you want to articulate it?
Maybe we're confusing cost versus charge. The city will withhold charging them.
Right.
We eat the cost.
We'll
So
provide the
at the
service
tune of
without
$4,080.
All right,
You good?
let's do it.
Second.
All right.
Even though I did say 8:15 and say 25 on.
I don't know whose fault that is.
That ain't gonna work either.
This reputation you have for not working together is not good for me. I'm gonna have to
Gotta
revise that
figure that
reputation
out.
or fight more or something. I don't know.
Ms. Holliday?
We'll have our day, I'm sure.
Okay, motion carried. All right, thank you very much. Our last item, well, no, it's not our last item. Our next item is discuss and consider action regarding the work hours, duties, and compensation of the municipal judge. And I'd like to move into executive session for this item.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
At 8:26.
Thought you already did it. I'm over here talking.
work for David Rogers. He's going like Savior. Yeah, hey, Kim, you hear that? He said no money for swag. No, we're going. Yeah, no, we got it. We'll vote for it. We want swag.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We got it.
I want it.
We're back from executive session. No action was taken. We have this item on in open meeting as well. Council?
Your Honor, I move that,
Your Honor.
The honorable.
That's fine.
Mr. Mayor, it's only 8:32. You don't have any.
He actually made me snort. That was funny.
I move that we adjust the compensation of the municipal judge by raising her annual salary to $45,000 and not do any hourly adjustment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Let her manage her own time however she sees.
Okay,
fit.
second.
Just stop talking.
Okay. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Judge, thank you for being here. 5E, Trista, if you would read that.
Didn't we have a couple of things in this?
5E is approving the Meadowlark Preserve Public Improvement District financing agreement between Lennar Homes of Texas Land and Construction, LTD, and the City of Pflugerville, Texas, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
The only reason I pulled this was because specifically I've been speaking to some citizens and they really have no idea what's going on one side of the town as compared to the other. So something just real quick to...
Jeremy, is it Jeremy?
Just something, just a quick overview. Because, people just don't travel completely different sides of town.
So Meadowlark Preserve is located out over at Cameron and roughly Jesse Bowles, where Jesse Bowles ties in. It's the southwest corner there. It's a residential neighborhood, consists of a variety of lots that are through there. It also has some public open spaces intertwined into it. In the future, it's under construction right now. That's what all of the dirt that you see moving around in that quadrant. The Pflugerville Parkway extension, so today would be Jesse Bowles, would be going through the middle of their development and will be tying into Cameron for a future extension eastward to FM 973.
So just to be clear, Jeremy, we are building actively on Cameron Road, which is in the city.
Yes.
We are looking, as we saw in our budget, our wonderful budget presentation, next year pulling Pflugerville Parkway all the way across to tie into Cameron to go ahead and that extension right there. And that's up and going on that side of town.
Yes, and so when you drive down Jesse Bowles from Weiss Lane, you'll tie right. You come right into that development, right, and you'll see that extension of Pflugerville Parkway that'll be going through there. All of that is part of that entire development is part of this PID, and so that's their financing mechanism.
There are a lot of people in our community who don't even know that Cameron is anywhere near in Pflugerville. So.
There's segments, just to be clear, there's segments around the Meadowlark Preserve that is Cameron, that is in the city limits, but the other segments are outside of our jurisdiction.
Just like by 1849 Park.
Down there will not be a segment.
Yeah.
But yes, so that segment, correct. Cameron is outside of our jurisdiction.
Exactly. So when they complain to us about what's going on at 1849 Park, that's the county who passed the bond that should be in place to be moving forward on that part of Cameron Road.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Mayor, would you entertain a motion?
Hold on just a minute.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Motion approved 5E as presented.
Okay.
Second. Oh, David got it. Cool.
Okay, don't go anywhere. Hold on. Motion carried.
When you get to say
We skipped something.
Got a couple of
repeats.
executive open session items that we need to cover.
We had 7D, that was the executive session on the downtown east property. approval of payment for acquisition of approximately 0.3212 acres of land located near 301 Meadow Creek Drive and authorizing the execution of documents related to the acquisition. And I'll go ahead with, this was a discussion we had, and I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to offer $342,882 to execute the purchase of that property.
Second. What's wrong, Serena?
Let's just say as written, it's 082, not 882.
0880, I'm sorry, $342,082.
$82.
Okay. All right.
Good catch, Charlie or Serena, whoever did.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. We are.
Well, hold on.
All right.
I think we also need 7G.
Yeah.
And the associate judge.
Okay, hold on.
If you're okay with.
Yeah.
Oh.
7G.
That's the city manager.
Oh, yeah. I'm
agreement.
sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot all
That's all right.
It's easy to do.
I'll move we approve the amended agreement with city manager.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the amended contract for the city manager's evaluation. I apologize.
Right, and then do we need to take action on the associate judge?
Yes, because we all
Oh, yeah.
agreed, right?
We've done a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
It's hidden there, right? I already marked it out on mine too.
Do you remember the name again?
I don't know who it was.
Doug's got it. Or somebody's got it.
David has it.
Doug's got it. He's
Oh.
gonna make the motion.
Hey. I would move to appoint Christina Riojas Stompo as associate judge.
Second.
Here we go.
A motion
See
and
if I got that
second
name
to
when you were
approve the
close.
appointment.
Enough for an agenda item.
Okay, motion carried. Anything else? We're leaving it.
I think that's it.
Are we okay?
I think we're good.
I trust her.
All right.
We are
There we go.
adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, man. I said it.